Hey there everyone, and welcome back to The Disconnected. Today I am going to share 10 beginner's tips for purchasing from boutique labels from overseas. I know when I was a baby collector and I was just getting into it, I did not import as much as I could have and maybe should have, and there's lots of titles that I would have loved to have had that I've missed out on. So I wanted to share some quick tips for everybody that is just starting out, and perhaps that could help out some of you that have been into it for a while as well that don't import for one reason or another. So let's start the list. All right, number one is if you are going for a single item, maybe just check eBay first. If you are not wanting to import a bunch of items at once, sometimes it is a little bit better to literally just go on eBay, see if anybody from the US or even overseas has already had it listed, and you're able to purchase it there and maybe get low cost or no cost shipping. When you're going overseas, a lot of times you're going to pay a little upcharge for shipping. Obviously, you're shipping it halfway across the world in many instances. So if you can go on to a company like Rare Waves is the most common one used on eBay, I would say, for collectors. See if they have that item that you're looking for. Just type it into the search bar, and if they've got it listed, maybe pull the trigger. Number two, check the Blu-ray.com forums for a specific release to see if it is even region locked. I'm going to show a picture here of what the search function looks like for a region locked item, as you can see here. And a region-free item, as you can see here. Now, in many cases, you'll see this where it says Region B and Region A and C are untested. This means that you can't confirm whether it's locked or unlocked. However, it could be either way, so that would be a risky purchase if you were wanting to do that. So with region locking, there are some things that go with this that a lot of people don't realize, and that sometimes it's marked as locked to a specific region, but it's not actually region locked. For example, we have Arrow's release of Oldboy. So this is their original Blu-ray release of Oldboy. This is marked on the back as locked Region B, and this is locked to Region B. Then we have the Arrow release of Oldboy in 4K. A lot of people don't know this. All 4K is region free. There is no verbiage in the 4K standard that has been put out that even allows for region locking. Those who wrote the standard for 4K Ultra HD, they see no reason for region locking. They see it as a thing of the past. So there is no verbiage in there. That being said, I see all kinds of keyboard warriors jumping up to say, there's been locked 4Ks, and I will say right now, we know currently about 4 4K discs that have been locked out of all of them, out of more than 1,000 releases that have come out on 4K. 4 of them have used a backdoor type of region locking method. Pretty much, if you're getting a 4K disc, you can plan on being able to play it. Most of them, obviously, only 4 in the world have ever been region locked, and if it's a release that you're going to be purchasing, you're probably going to hear about that beforehand. Now when it comes to Arrow Video, Arrow put out the American Horror Project Volume 1. They put this out in the US and the UK at the exact same time. Now, this release is region free. The discs for both releases are identical, except for the disc art on the UK has the little UK logo rating on it, but the US one does not. They are both region free. They are region unlocked. Anybody can play them. Usually with Arrow, anything that they release in both countries at the same time is going to be region free. They're going to use the exact same discs in both locations. An example of this is the Alejandro Jodorowsky set. That one came from Arrow in the UK, came from another company in the US called ABKCO, I think that's what it was called, and they were literally identical discs except for the branding. Arrow did all of the special features, they did everything, and another company distributed in the US. That release was marked as Region B locked in the UK, but it was region free. If you imported that, you could play it in any US Blu-ray player. But there are lots of times where you hold yourself back from purchasing an item because it's region locked and you don't have a region free capability at home. but you find out later that it was region free and you could have purchased it the entire time. So make sure you're checking those releases to see if it's worth your time to purchase them, because you may be missing out for literally no reason. All right, tip number 3 in response to that last one, obviously the best answer here, get a region free player. I would suggest this website, 220electronics.com. They have great deals for 4K players, for standard Blu-ray players, for 3D players. You can get them region free. You can get them with smart apps and stuff loaded onto it already. They are a great company. They have really good customer service. I actually purchased something to make my Blu-ray player that I had already had region free. I've used them myself, so I can say from personal experience, I would suggest this website. That being said, there is other options a lot of people don't think of. If you don't want to shell out, a couple $100s for one of the really nice region free players, because you've already got, an Xbox One at home you're using to play Blu-rays, there is this other idea that you could use that might be beneficial to you. You could go on something like Amazon UK, purchase a Region B player that is only Region B, get it shipped to your home, plug it in, and you've got, make sure you have an adapter, obviously, for the electric from the UK standard to the US standard. But then you have your Region A player and your Region B player, and then you can go back and forth, and you don't actually have to switch the region locking on the hardware itself. You have 2 different players. One could be for your US releases, one could be for Region B releases. Now, obviously you're taking the risk there on the shipping, and it could cost you a little more for shipping as opposed to ordering from 220 Electronics. However, the actual price for that is going to be significantly lower than a region unlocked hardware from day one. Number 4 is one that a lot of people don't know about, and that's when you're purchasing overseas. A lot of times you are going to be charged what is called a foreign transaction fee. That is something that is baked into your debit card, that is on all credit cards. That is something that you're going to be charged a tiny amount to purchase overseas, and it's going to raise your cost a little bit. Usually it's 2 or 3%, somewhere around there. However, there is one way around that. If you use a Capital One card to purchase overseas, they don't charge any foreign transaction fees. So if you have one, I would suggest using a Capital One card so that you don't get charged that extra 2 or 3%. I'm going to have a link below that's a referral link to possibly get approved for a Capital One credit card. With the caveat, I will say, do not get a credit card if you can't handle it and you're going to go above a spending limit or anything like that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here to help you save a couple percentage points if you're going to be making these purchases anyway. If you get a credit card, make sure you pay off that balance completely monthly. Number 5 is to keep currency in mind. So when you're purchasing overseas, most times you're not going to find those websites listed with the US dollar as the available currency. A lot of times you're going to find the British pound, you're going to find a euro, you're going to find the Australian dollar. A lot of these have different symbols that you're going to have to learn. But what you can do is use a website that I'll have linked in the description that is a currency converter. This shows the current up-to-date what the actual currency converts to. So when you charge that item, say from the UK, they're going to be charging you in Great British pounds. And over in the US, whoever your card issuer is, whether it's Visa, MasterCard, something like that, they're going to be converting that themselves to US dollars so that they can pay the company you're purchasing from. What you can do is put in your total in Great British pounds into the currency converter, convert it to the US dollar, and your actual charge price is going to be fairly close to that. It's never going to be 100% accurate because it literally changes by the second, and when it gets to the actual converting, you're going to be charged a different amount, but it's going to be within a few dollars at most. So you're going to see what the actual difference is there. One major example is imprint titles. A lot of people are notoriously afraid to purchase from imprint in Australia because they go on there and they see something like this As Good As It Gets from imprint is listed at $34.98. When you put that total in Australian dollars into the currency converter, in US dollars, it spits out something that is less than $25. That's a lot more in line with the boutique release in the US, so there's a lot less to be afraid of. Granted, when you're purchasing from Australia, you're going to be paying a shipping price that is a bit hefty. It's coming from halfway across the world, so something that's $35 by itself, you're going to be paying probably another $25 shipping on top of that, which means after all that converting, it's going to come down to like 40-ish. But if you're purchasing a lot at once and you're spreading that shipping cost across say 7 titles, it's a lot easier for you to digest that total rather than purchasing one item there when it's listed in Australian dollars. So look at the actual currency, look what you're going to be paying in rather than what the local currency they're charging you for. Number 6. This one is very specific to a single company in the UK, but I hardly ever hear people talking about this huge plus to shopping from this company, and that is the company Eureka. Eureka puts out some great titles. They have a Masters of Cinema line that is very much akin, and in many ways, in my opinion, better quality than Criterion level discs, and they are fairly inexpensive. They have sales all the time that are like 2 for £25, but the big thing with Eureka, like I said, hardly anybody ever mentions this, their shipping for international shipping is always free. Even if you were purchasing a single item and it's £11, they're going to ship that to you in the US for nothing. I don't know how they do it, I don't know how they get away with it, but it is free shipping. And Eureka puts out some great titles, like this Cujo release came from Eureka. This is a stunning release. This is a very similar release to like the Second Sight releases, passes the knock test, and it's got a nice booklet in there. It is fairly long, it's got almost 60 pages in it. It is a little on the soft side, but overall it is great. This is a disc that a lot of people were clamoring to get in the US, and they could have purchased it for free shipping. I absolutely love that release. So if you're buying from Eureka, keep in mind, free shipping. That is a huge plus when looking at their costs. All right, tip number 7. This one's going to be a potentially sort of divisive / controversial tip here. A lot of people, when you get into importing for these collecting of boutiques and steelbooks and stuff like that, they go through Zavvi. Zavvi is what I'm going to call, and this is literally my tip here, Zavvi is basically the Walmart of international distribution. Generally and historically, Zavvi has shipped single items one at a time in a tiny little cardboard folded over item that is barely held together, very easily damaged, and for some reason, even if you buy 4 items at once, they send them one at a time in those little cardboard mailers, and generally you have never gotten tracking. That being said, recently they seem to have upped their game. The True Romance 4K release that was exclusive to them in the UK, they have been shipping that to the US in a box with those air pillows with tracking through FedEx, which is a brand new thing for them. Not sure if that's going to be the case going forward, but it is one thing to keep in mind. Another caveat for Zavvi that a lot of people don't like is that they charge when the item ships, not when you purchase the item. So if you are looking to budget properly and you pay $59 for this item that's coming from the UK, but it doesn't release till November, and you place that order in July, you're thinking you paid $59, but it only comes out of your account just to make sure that you have the money, and then it basically it's a hold, and then they release that hold and you still have those funds, and then out of nowhere in November, right when it ships, you're getting charged $59, and then it's coming to you. So unless you're really diligent about those funds, that might be unexpected. Amazon does that as well, for those of you that don't know. They use the hold method and then charge you later. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, while I'm discussing Zavvi, I think it's important to point out one thing. There is some misinformation that's gone around recently, and a lot of people in Arrow announcements will comment that Arrow is trash since Zavvi bought them. First off, people need to be better informed. Zavvi did not purchase Arrow. The same group that bought a portion of ownership in Zavvi also bought a portion of ownership in Arrow Video. They are called the Hut Group. Zavvi does not own Arrow Video. We have no reason to believe that Zavvi will be changing any sort of policies with Arrow Video. That being said, we are likely to continue to see Zavvi exclusives for Arrow, but that's been happening for years, so nothing really is changing there. Number 8. Tip number 8 is I would personally try to always purchase at least 4 items when purchasing overseas. Generally, at 4 items, it's going to come nicely packed in a box with shipping, packing materials around it, and it won't be moving as much. Obviously, this is going to differ from country to country, but even if you're ordering from like Amazon.co.uk, you're usually going to see that in a box rather than some bubble mailer that might not make the entire trip. or a padded envelope that is going to get torn up as it comes over. There are so many ways that these items going through these customs and inspection stations can be damaged that it's always better to have that in a box. So far, I've found that magic number to be about 4. And with most of these companies, the best part of this is that 4 items is usually when you start making your dollar work more for you. For example, with Arrow Video, if you're going to be ordering from the Arrow sales in the UK, the shipping is generally worth it at about 3 or 4 items. So it's going to be better all around for you if you purchase at least that many. Number 9, there are companies in the UK that people use a lot, that I use a lot, like 88 Films. 88 Films puts out a lot of good content, like this Jackie Chan release of Operation Condor. This has no release, as far as I'm aware, in the US, especially something that is this high quality. They have all kinds of stuff on this release, super loaded with bonus features. There is a lot of, I believe there's art cards on the inside. It's a great overall release. With 88 Films, they give you an option. When you order over there, you can get tracked shipping or untracked shipping. Tracked shipping is going to cost more, undoubtedly. Generally, it's a difference of about 10 to 12 pounds between the tracked and untracked. The tracked shipping is going to be about 20 pounds overall. Untracked is usually about 8. I would say always opt for the tracked shipping. And the reason being is sometimes, especially coming internationally, there's a lot more opportunity for things to get lost. There's a lot more opportunity for things to get damaged. And if you don't have that tracking number, the company that sent it has no way of knowing where your item is. They have no way of seeing where in the destination chain it's been, and they can't do anything to assist you. So I would suggest going for that tracked shipping so that in case something happens, you always have that to fall back on. And finally, tip number 10 is simply to be patient. Even before COVID and all of the stuff that has happened with that, international shipping took 3+ weeks sometimes, depending on where you're ordering from, depending on the company. And it has only gotten worse. Speaking out of personal experience, I've had a lot of shipments that have been stuck at the Chicago International Inspection Station for literally a month plus recently. No reason why, they're not indicating anything publicly, why it was held up, but it's happening for everything. I've had shipments from 88 Films that were shipped at the end of like April, and then they don't show up until the middle of June. And it has nothing to do with 88 Films, it's literally just the process. The inspection station in Chicago was hit really hard, they had a huge backlog, and it has simply created this massive wait time. Just be patient. I know that it's very easy to jump to conclusions when you're not getting something for months at a time. However, if I were to reach out to 88 Films to complain to them, the best thing that they could possibly do is ship me another shipment of those exact same items, and it would just go through the same process. I would likely get the first shipment before the second shipment. So it's pointless to complain about it. Make sure you get that track shipping, like I said. You'll be able to see when it's at the inspection station, and you'll get it eventually. I promise. 99% of the time, these items are not getting lost. They just take their time. It is something that, if you're ordering internationally, it's something that you should just get used to. And it's worth it, in most cases, to wait for these better releases. The US does not have a lot of stuff. There are lots of items, like this Jackie Chan release, that if I want this, I have to get it internationally. There is no release of this in the US, so if I want this, I just need to deal with the wait times, and that's okay with me. So just be patient, please. A lot of these labels, they're here to make people happy. They love film. They want to share that passion with all of us. So treat them like it. Don't take things out on them. I'm sure they would appreciate that. And there you have it. That was 10 tips for getting into collecting boutique releases from overseas. I hope that helps people new to collecting, or people that have been in this for a while that are just sticking away from the process for some reason. I hope that there's something that I could say or do there that makes you feel more at ease as you're shopping overseas. All that being said, from one collector to all of you, have a good night. It's a lot more stomachable. Number 5. Wait,